Hi everyone, welcome back to the channel, where we break down the most important CPA Canada exam topics into clear, practical lessons with examples. Today we're tackling cash flow statements, covering the direct method, the indirect method, and pro forma cash flow forecasting. This is one of the most heavily tested areas in financial reporting and finance, and a topic that frequently appears on CPA Canada exams and case scenarios. If you've ever been unsure about working capital adjustments, non-cash reversals, or building a multi-month pro forma cash flow forecast from scratch, this video is for you. I will also go through a full numerical case study, step by step, with calculations that are very similar to what you will see on the exams. If you find the content helpful, be sure to like and subscribe so you don't miss future videos. And if you'd like to support the channel, consider becoming a member. Shout out to Greg, who recently just joined as a member. Really appreciate your support for the channel. I also love hearing from you in the comments and will try to reply as much as I can. Let me know in the comments which topics in this video you find most challenging, or what CPA topic you'd like me to cover next. Let's start on slide 2 with the foundational concept that trips up so many candidates on exam day. Net income does not equal cash flow. Under accrual accounting, a company can look amazingly profitable on paper while being completely broke in reality. Why? Because revenue is recognized when earned, not when the cash actually hits the bank. A cash flow statement is your ultimate reality check. There are no estimates, no deferrals, and no subjective management accounting choices. It is strictly cold, hard cash entering or leaving the bank account. As the saying goes, on the slide, profit is opinion, cash is fact. Investors and lenders care deeply about cash because cash is what pays dividends, funds, capital expansion, and keeps the lights on. Every cash flow statement is structured around 3 core pillars. You must know how to categorize transactions into these 3 buckets instantly. Operating activities, the engine. This represents day-to-day revenue-generating operations. It includes cash collected from customers and cash paid to suppliers, employees, and tax authorities. It is the core operational heartbeat of the business. Investing activities, the future. This covers purchasing and selling long-term assets, such as property, plant, and equipment, PPE, or corporate acquisitions. It shows how the business is positioning itself for long-term growth. Financing activities. The capital. These are transactions with debt holders and equity owners. Think issuing shares, taking on or repaying bank loans, and paying out dividends. Mastering which transaction belongs in which pillar is mandatory for case writing. Next, we compare the 2 ways to present operating cash flow, the direct method versus the indirect method. The direct method rebuilds the income statement on a pure cash basis by listing actual gross cash inflows and outflows. While it is transparent, fewer than 1% of real-world companies use it because of the detail required. The indirect method is the gold standard used by 99% of companies and heavily tested on CPA Canada exams. You start with bottom-line net income, add back non-cash expenses like depreciation, and reconcile changes in working capital accounts. Here is the key rule to remember. Both methods produce the exact same total operating cash flow. They are simply 2 different paths to the exact same destination. On the next slide, we look at the 3-step indirect engine. Master this 3-step process, and you are 90% of the way to full marks on any indirect cash flow question. Step 1. Anchor net income. Always start with the reported accrual net income at the top of your reconciliation. Step 2. Reverse non-cash items. Add back non-cash expenses like depreciation and amortization, and adjust for non-operating gains or losses on asset sales. Step 3. Adjust working capital. Factor in the year-over-year changes in current assets and current liabilities. If you follow this systematic framework step by step on an exam case, you will never miss a mark. This slide covers the most common area where candidates lose points, which is critical to understand. You know to know your working capital adjustments. Memorize these 2 rules. Current assets move opposite to cash. If accounts receivable or inventory goes up, cash goes down. Subtract. Why? Because if accounts receivable increased, you earned revenue on credit but haven't collected the cash yet. Current liabilities move with cash. If accounts payable goes up, cash is preserved. Add. Why? Because if accounts payable increased, You incurred an expense, but haven't actually paid cash out the door yet. Use the memory aid on the right side of the slide. Assets are sneaky. They take cash away when they grow. Liabilities are generous. They give cash when they grow. Now let's apply this to a realistic exam scenario on this slide. Meet Nova Learning Academy, NLA, a private tutoring business evaluating an expansion from January to March. Management needs a pro forma cash flow forecast to ensure they don't run into a liquidity crunch. Here are the key operational facts. Starting cash, $10,000 on January 1st. Projected revenues, January $30,000, February $40,000, March $50,000. Collections process, 70% collected in the month of sale, 30% collected in the following month. In January, NLA will also collect $5,000 from December's remaining A/R. Operating expenses. Fixed cash expenses of $18,000 per month, paid in the month incurred. CapEx. A $25,000 computer equipment outlay in February, payable immediately in cash. Now here are our 3 required tasks as financial analysts. Cash inflows. Schedule, calculate the projected cash collections for January, February, and March. Pro forma cash flow statement. Build a monthly statement showing total cash inflows, total cash outflows, net cash flow, and the ending cash balance for each month. Analysis and insights. Explain why NLA's cash balance drops in February despite growing sales, and highlight the fundamental difference between net income and pro forma cash flow. Now, I'll give everyone 3 seconds to pause the video before I show the solutions. Also, if you have not liked the video and subscribed to the channel, it's your chance to do so. January collections. We collect $5,000 from December AR plus 70% of January's $30,000 sales, $21,000. Total equals $26,000. February. Collections. We collect 30% of January's sales, $9,000, plus 70% of February's $40,000 sales, $28,000. Total equals $37,000. March collections. We collect 30% of February's sales, $12,000, plus 70% of March's $50,000 sales, $35,000. Total equals $47,000. Notice how cash collections lag behind recorded sales revenue every single month? That collection delay is a classic cash flow trap. Now we bring it all together into the final pro forma cash flow statement. January. Starting cash of $10,000 plus inflows of $26,000 minus outflows of $18,000 gives a net cash flow of plus $8,000, leaving an ending balance of $18,000. February. Starting cash of $18,000 plus inflows of $37,000 minus outflows of $43,000, which includes the $25,000 CapEx outlay, gives a negative net cash flow of minus $6,000, dropping ending cash down to $12,000. March. Starting cash of $12,000 plus inflows of $47,000 minus outflows of $18,000 gives a net cash flow of plus $29,000, bringing ending cash to $41,000. This answers our qualitative question. February's cash balance declines despite rising sales because of the single upfront $25,000 equipment purchase combined with the 30% collection lag on credit sales. Let's now cover the qualitative analysis of our Nova Learning Academy case. First, remember that revenue is not cash. Even though NLA's revenue grows from $30,000 in January to $40,000 in February, they only collect $37,000 in cash during February because $12,000 of those sales won't be collected until March. Second, we need to separate operating and capital cash flows. In February, NLA actually generates a positive operating cash flow of $19,000. However, because of the $25,000 capital expenditure for equipment, the total net cash flow for the month dips to negative $6,000. Finally, what is the ultimate purpose of a pro forma cash flow forecast? It's a forward-looking estimation used to answer the most critical operational question: will we run out of cash? In this case, because NLA started January with $10,000, their February balance drops to $12,000, but safely remains positive. If they had started with less than $4,000, That capital purchase would have caused a cash deficit, signaling management that they need to secure a short-term bank loan or stagger the equipment purchase. I've put together a quick reference sign rules cheat sheet. Feel free to screenshot this for your study notes. It's the fastest way to remember working capital adjustments for the exam. Always fall back on our memory aid. Assets are sneaky, opposite to cash. Liabilities are generous, move with cash. If accounts receivable or inventory goes up, it's a red subtract from cash. If they go down, it's a green add to cash. Conversely, if accounts payable or accrued expenses go up, it's a green add. If they go down, it's a red subtract. Drill these sign rules until they are completely automatic so you don't burn precious time on exam day. Now before we wrap up, let's review all the key topics. Profit does not equal cash. Always. Reconcile. Net income and operating cash flow tell different stories. Your job on the CFE is to bridge that gap using the indirect method. Never skip this step. Indirect is standard. Focus 90% of study time. Here, the CFE will almost certainly test the indirect method. The direct method is mostly theory, while the indirect method is real life. Know every adjustment cold. Get the working capital signs right. This is where most candidates lose marks. Assets move opposite to cash. Liabilities move with cash. Drill the sign rules until they're automatic. When studying, here are some cash flow red flags. Use this diagnostic checklist when a CFE cash flow question feels off. These patterns signal hidden working capital issues or timing problems that you need to adjust for. Negative CFO with positive net income. This signals a working capital trap where profit is not turning into cash. Inventory. Growing faster than a /P. Cash is being tied up in stock without supplier financing keeping pace. Treat this as a use of cash. A /R. Rising faster than revenue. Customers are paying more slowly, meaning reported sales overstate your current cash collection. Large non-cash charges. Depreciation or amortization is boosting accounting profit without bringing in cash. Always add these back. Seasonal or cyclical working capital swings. Ensure you identify whether a cash flow change is just a temporary timing swing or a true operational weakness. Keep an eye out for these red flags, and you'll be able to navigate complex case scenarios with confidence. And that is it. If this video helped you, drop a comment below and let me know which cash flow concept was the biggest eye-opener for you, or which area you'd like me to cover next. I read every comment and always appreciate hearing from fellow CPA candidates. And if you know someone else studying for the CPA Canada exam who's struggling with financial reporting or finance, do them a favor and share this video with them. Thanks again for watching, and if you found this lesson helpful, please like and subscribe. I try to release new CPA exam preparation videos every week. God bless.